you dropped off some stuff for me about your experience at Bonneville, and sorry for it took so long to get back to you, but I'm just getting caught up on stuff here. I wondered if you had a couple of minutes to talk to me about it.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. It's not your everyday undertaking, so what led up to this?
Let me see. Well, both me and Ted have had like these old motorcycles going way back, and I've always been building and putting things together. I think I started in about 1980, and Ted was probably he's probably started in the 60s.
Oh wow!
And he's building choppers and out of old Harleys, and a lot of times it was 45 flatheads because they were used in the Second World War.
Right, there was lots of them around.
And there was just so many other, and so many parts. And, and so it was cheap. And that's sort of what led to it. And then we started thinking, about it was 04, that Ted saw somebody had gone with Triumph flathead and set a record at Speed Week, and so that sort of got him and me talking, and said, well, why don't we build one? So we built this Indian. It was a little 500. Again, it was. I don't think that one was military, but that 500 V-twin was used in the Second World War.
Right.
That style. So we put that together, and then we went out and we did almost 80 miles an hour on it, which was pretty good for a little. Like, this thing was really meant just to potter around it. Top speed would be about 50.
You did that at Bonneville too?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And so that's when it started in 05, and then we put together like the Harley 750 WL, and then we used that for just a number of years, and we kept trying different things on it.
And that's the bike that you set this record with?
Oh, the latest one? No.
Okay.
The latest one. We actually
the WL that you did before. Okay.
That's right, yeah. And that was 45 cubic inch, and we ran that until we ran it about 3 years ago. Was the last time. It's owned by a guy in Winnipeg who's a big collector of motorcycles, Ross Metcalf, and so he bought it off us, and so we were kind of out of it, and then I was in Saskatchewan. A couple of years back, we took a tour out to Saskatchewan on our old bikes, and I was on my big twin flathead, which I used as a daily rider for about a decade.
Right.
And we were coming back, and we were going through all this bad weather, and I was having trouble with the ignition points, and so I finally got a good new set of points. But I didn't reset the timing when I put them in because, again, it was raining on us at the same time. And I was exhausted, and so I just took off, and then I ended up burning a hole in one of the pistons.
Each.
Yeah, because so I was way out in, I was just barely into western Saskatchewan. And so I had to truck
when you blew it.
Yeah, so I had to truck the bike home, and it cost me $1,000. And
ouch.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what to do with it. I was almost thinking of just putting it back to normal and then just selling it. But then I started to think, I'd done a lot of modifications to it over the years. It wasn't this pristine restoration that would be desirable. So I wondered, what am I even going to get for it? So I started thinking, I asked Ted. I said, "You want to do another racer?" And he was all for it. So that's the latest one.
Well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, you going to stick with this one for a few years?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Going to be back next year, or do you go?
Yeah, we'll go back next year. Yeah, it's already in the planning, and yeah.
Any modifications?
Well, we ran the first year. We just ran pump gas. And we got that 127 with it.
127?
Yeah, miles an hour, yeah. Which was, really quite amazing because you take any of these, let's say a restored version of this bike on the street, and around Manitoba where the elevation isn't too high, you could probably coax it up to about 90 miles an hour.
90?
Yeah, so the modifications we did were, they really worked well. But the track last year, the track was just terrible. It was all full of potholes. And
when you set the record? No, that was this year. Okay.
No, last year too. We set our first record last year. We just improved on it this year.
Oh, okay. What was your record last year?
It was 124.
124.
Yeah, it was around there. Yeah, I think 124 point whatever 2 or something like that.
Yeah, well, run 24 is rough.
Yeah, and but our one-way run, one of our one-way runs was 127, and
okay.
Yeah.
So they go for the average, the run back.
Yeah, you got to do the run back, and then they average it out. But like I said, there was people, there was guys who had fairly modern, relatively to what we're running, very modern bikes, Yamaha RDs and stuff like that. And they normally, there was one guy who said, yeah, I normally do like 125, and he said he got to the measured mile, and it was so full of potholes and rutted, and like he said, I just pulled off at 100 miles an hour. He said that was it. I couldn't do it. So that's Ted is a very good rider.
Got to have some confidence to take that bike up that high.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. he said it was bouncing up and down just like on a pogo stick.
Oh yeah, it'd be like riding a Mustang.
That's right. Yeah. And he said it was compressing the fork so quickly that there was actually smoke coming, blowing out of the fork seals.
Holy shit!
It was just igniting, it was vaporizing, and igniting the oil in the forks at the same time.
Wow!
And so yeah, that was last year. But this year we put nitrous oxide kit on it.
Okay.
But then our nitrous oxide failed. We didn't have the pressure we needed.
Oh.
Because the temperatures were really cool, and that was something we didn't expect. Because usually at Bonneville it's hot,
yeah.
It's usually 90, over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of times it'll go 105, and you'll be out there, and everything is just boiling and baking, and so yeah, as it turns out, the nitrous bottles need that heat to provide the pressure that. And as soon as you get, I remember the first round we did, I think it was at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is barely room temperature. So we couldn't get pressure out of the bottle, and then we thought maybe they were underfilled, and we were sort of second-guessing ourselves. But yeah, so we kind of got it to work on a few runs, but then, and I guess those would be the higher runs where it was 132.
So how many runs do you get?
It's up to you. I shouldn't say that absolutely. Sometimes there's a big. In the past, there's been big crowds, and you had to wait for. Actually, 10 years ago, there was times when we waited for 8 hours.
Oh wow!
Just to make a single run. Just sitting there sweltering in the sun, and it'd be a big long lineup. But it was run. It's being run a lot better now. And so yeah, we could have made as many runs as we wanted, but once our nitrous bottle failed, we just kind of said, well, that was that's all we got. We actually tried to get a recharge from one of the other racers out there, but they needed it for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think you can coax out of this bike?
Well, Ted would like to. Ted thinks probably 140 next year.
Wow.
But
that'll be a wild ride.
Yeah, and he said it's going. He said even going from 127 to 132, that's only 5 miles an hour. But he said that the difference is really that wind pressure really starts to get crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said you can really feel it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Always wanted to hop on my bike and go down there for this, not to do any land speed records, but just to watch. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. What do you ride?
I just have a Road King.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Ted's got a Heritage.
Oh yeah.
And I've got one of those Yamaha Roadstars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are nice little bikes.
Yeah.
Well, not little, but.
Actually it's monstrous.
Yeah.
It's one of those 1700s.
Oh yeah. I'm looking for an old project like this too, like an old Pan or something, but they're so tough to find now. You don't have any basket cases sitting around, do you?
No, I don't. Geez, back in the day, holy cow, I had so much.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I think. In the 80s, I bought a bunch of stuff off a guy in Birds Hill, and I put together 5 Harley 45.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and 4 of them were running. The last one I sold just as a rolling basket, but boy, it was a nice rolling basket. Had everything.
Well, if you run across one that you don't want, keep me in mind.
Yeah, I will.
They're so hard to find now.
Well, I'll tell you, even on, like, this is the time of year to look too. But if you could get one, even on eBay.
Yeah.
This is the time to buy. I think this is the time to buy panheads. They're going to be the next knucklehead.
Yeah.
They're not going to. Nothing will ever be a 1936 knucklehead, but they'll attain value.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to have a knuckle, but those are even harder to find.
You can see choppers for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get choppers usually pretty cheap.
Oh.
So you got your engine and your transmission.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And hopefully not to debaucherize the frame, and
Well, you can come across frames even.
Yeah.
Even a new frame.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't think I need anything else. I'm going to let you do the speaking for Ted, too.
Actually, if you could talk to Ted, like, you'd get to know him. Like, Ted's a real interesting guy.
Okay, well, I'll try. I'm just running out of time is my biggest problem. But,
yeah.
I will try. I've got his number here for sure.
Okay.
Well, now that we know that there's somebody from the area down there running every year, we might make the trip.
Oh, that'd be great.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's something.
It's always end of August, right?
Yep.
Oh, nice time of year for riding, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's something else. Like the machines that you'll see are just a lot of innovation. A lot of people thinking different ways to try and go fast.
Yeah.
There's guys now that they've been doing that for a while, but there's one outfit, Sodium Distortion, and they make these lay down things.
Uh-huh.
Where you're pretty much stretched right out with your head first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you're just like you're laying in bed or something or on a couch, and they're right off the ground. It's like they're trying to cut down the frontal area. And
wow.
So their body is only like a foot and a half off the ground.
That'd be a ride.
And they put the engine in the rear so that they got room to stretch out on this thing.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot for your time, Garrett.
Okay, no problem.
Congratulations on the record.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye.